Welcome to my channel. Listen to my stories every day. Comment, like and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy listening. The stage lights cut through the dark like sharp beams, slicing the thick, smoke-laden air. Jack stood at the edge, his guitar slung low, the weight familiar and comforting against his side. The crowd surged forward, a living, breathing entity that roared with anticipation. He had been doing this for a decade, but the thrill never faded, not really. Yet tonight, as he scanned the front rows, a creeping emptiness gnawed at him. May wasn't there. He remembered the first time he saw her. 5 years ago, a flash of red in the swarm of black tees and leather, her laughter rising above the cacophony of guitars. He had fallen for her instantly, lost in the allure of her youthful vibrancy and the promise of shared dreams. She was 22, vibrant and full of life. He was on the cusp of 49, already seasoned by the road, the spotlight, and countless fleeting encounters. But May was different. She wanted more than just the backstage pass. A rough voice in his earpiece snapped him back. 30 seconds, Jack. It was his manager, Leo, ever the punctual anchor in the chaos of rock life. Jack nodded, barely acknowledging Leo's prompt. His fingers found the strings, tuning out the buzz of his thoughts. The intro riff to their hit song beckoned him back to the present, to the here and now, where music drowned out betrayal. Yet, as the drums kicked in and he stepped into the light, his gaze wandered offstage, searching, wondering. Where was May? Their last conversation replayed in his mind, her words evasive, her eyes elsewhere. "I can't make it tonight, Jack. There's something important I need to handle," that was all she had said, leaving him with a nod and a kiss that felt more like a goodbye than a promise to return. As the set progressed, Jack's performance was mechanically flawless but emotionally hollow. Each chord, each note, seemed to pull him further into a spiral of doubt and hurt. His voice, rough and edgy, carried a tremor that only the most attentive might catch as anything but a stylistic choice. Backstage, post-performance, the air was thick with accolades and the smell of sweat and beer. "Great show," man, his bandmates chorused, slapping his back, their faces alight with the adrenaline rush that only a live show could provide. Jack forced a smile, his mind racing. He needed answers. He pulled out his phone, the screen lighting up with a message from May, sent just minutes before they went on. "Sorry, love. Good luck tonight. No explanation, no love, just a curt note." Something was wrong. Jack felt it in his bones. "Hey, are you okay?" Lucy, the bassist and his closest friend in the band, approached him with a concerned look. He shook his head, the phone still in his grasp. "I don't know, Luce. Something's off with May. She didn't come tonight, and she's been distant." Lucy's expression softened. "Want to talk about it?" "Not sure there's much to say." Jack pocketed his phone. "Not until I figure out what's really going on." The rest of the evening blurred into a mix of forced conversations and empty smiles. As the venue emptied and the night grew heavy around him, Jack made a decision. He couldn't let this gnawing uncertainty consume him. Tomorrow he would confront May. Whatever was happening, he needed the truth. But little did he know, the truth was more painful and twisted than he could have imagined. As the night drew to a close and the last of the crew packed up, Jack stood alone on the now silent stage, the echoes of the night lingering like ghosts. He looked out into the empty venue, a hollow shell that mirrored his own turmoil. Tomorrow, everything would change. The morning after was gray and overcast, a fitting backdrop for Jack's tumultuous thoughts as he drove to the studio. Traffic was light, the city still rubbing sleep from its eyes, unaware of the storm brewing in his heart. He replayed last night's performance in his mind, each note a reminder of May's absence. His grip tightened on the steering wheel, the leather cool and unyielding under his fingers. Arriving at the studio, he found the place buzzing with more activity than usual. 2 of his bandmates, Lucy and Tom, were already there, deeply engaged in a heated discussion about the upcoming tour. The air was thick with the smell of fresh coffee and anticipation. "Morning, Jack. You look like hell," Lucy greeted, her eyes narrowing with concern. Jack forced a smile, his eyes scanning the room for May. "Rough night. Where's May?" Tom, tuning his guitar, shrugged without looking up. "Haven't seen her." Jack's phone vibrated, a message from May flashing on the screen. "We need to talk. Meet me at the studio." It's important. His heart sank. Whatever this was, it wasn't good. Minutes felt like hours until the door finally swung open, revealing May. She was pale, her usually bright eyes dimmed. The room fell silent, the air thick with tension. "May, where were you last night?" Jack's voice was low, barely containing his frustration. May sighed, her gaze flickering to the others before returning to Jack. "Can we talk in private?" They moved to a small, soundproof room, the walls lined with foam that swallowed their words. "I'm sorry," Jack May began, her voice trembling. "There's something you need to know. It's about last night. And more." Jack felt his stomach knot. "What is it, May?" She hesitated, then blurted out, "I was with Danny last night from Firestorm. He offered me a spot on their tour solo. I think I want to take it." Jack staggered back as if struck. Firestorm was huge, their lead singer Danny a notorious figure in the rock scene. "You're leaving the band? After all we've built?" "It's not just the band, Jack. I think we need time apart. I need to find my own way." May's voice broke. Before Jack could respond, the door burst open. Danny swaggered in, his presence filling the room with an undeniable charisma. "Looks like you got my message," May, he said, ignoring Jack. Jack turned to him, anger flaring. "You stay out of this, Danny." Danny smirked, stepping closer. "Oh, I'm very much in this. See, May here is something special. You had your time, old man. Now it's my turn." Jack lunged at Danny, but Lucy and Tom rushed in, pulling him back. The room erupted into chaos, voices raised in anger and confusion. Lucy faced May, disbelief etching her features. "You planned this? With him?" May's eyes filled with tears, her resolve crumbling. I didn't plan to fall out of love, Lucy. It just happened." The room quieted, the tension morphing into an aching, palpable silence. Jack, chest heaving, managed to say, "If this is what you want, May, then go. But remember, the spotlight fades. And when it does, what's left?" With that, Jack stormed out, leaving the studio and perhaps his old life behind. As he drove away, the skies opened up, rain blurring the cityscape. He didn't know where to go, but he drove on, fueled by a mix of betrayal and an emerging, vengeful clarity. The stage was set, the players known, and the next act was bound to be devastating. The rain was relentless, drumming against the windshield as Jack drove without destination, his thoughts as chaotic as the storm outside. He hadn't felt this betrayed since his early days in the industry, when every contract felt like a gamble on his future. Now, with the roads slick and his heart heavier than the downpour, he decided on a course of action. He couldn't just let May and Danny walk away unscathed. His phone rang, the screen lighting up with Lucy's name. He pulled over to the side of the road before answering, the wipers working overtime against the deluge. "Jack, are you okay?" Lucy's voice was thick with concern. "I've been better," Jack replied, staring out at the sheets of rain. "What's the situation back there?" "There's a mess, Jack. Tom's furious, and some of the crew heard about May and Danny. It's going to get out, it's going to hit the press." Jack clenched his jaw. "Let it. And Lucy, I'm thinking of a new project. I want to hit back musically." Lucy paused. "What are you thinking?" "A new album. Songs about betrayal, redemption, real raw stuff. I want the truth out there, not just tabloid fodder." "That sounds like a hell of a comeback, Jack. Count me in." Lucy's voice was steady, resolute. Jack felt a spark of something fierce and firm settle within him. "Thanks, Luce. I'll need you more than ever." He ended the call, his mind now racing with lyrics and melodies. Music had always been his best revenge. Over the next few weeks, Jack poured his soul into writing. He spent long nights in the studio, guitars strewn about, notepads filled with lyrics, and recording equipment always rolling. Lucy was by his side, laying down bass tracks that were as fierce as they were poignant. One evening, as they wrapped up a particularly intense session, Jack listened to the playback, a track that was more confession than song. "This one's going to hit hard," he said, a small smile playing on his lips. Lucy nodded, her eyes reflecting the studio lights. "It's powerful, Jack. People will know your side, your truth." As the album took shape, whispers of Jack's new project began to stir interest. Blogs buzzed, and his social media lit up with speculation and support. He knew he was gambling again, but this time he held the cards. Then came the call that changed everything. It was from an old friend and producer, Rick, who had been following the rumors closely. "Jack, I've heard some of your new stuff. Raw, real, and exactly what the industry needs right now. How about we arrange a live debut? An unplugged session, streamed worldwide. Let's show them who Jack really is." Jack's heart raced. "You got it, Rick. Let's set it up." The event was scheduled swiftly, the buzz growing as the day approached. Jack felt a resurgence, a rebirth. He was no longer just a betrayed husband and bandmate, he was a phoenix rising from his own ashes. On the night of the live session, Jack stepped onto a small, intimately lit stage. Cameras surrounded him, the live feed streaming to millions. He looked into the camera, his gaze steady. "This is for anyone who's been used, betrayed, or thrown aside. This is for those who stand up and come back stronger. This is my story." With that, Jack launched into his first song, the lyrics sharp and cathartic. The chords resonated, echoing through the quiet of the studio, out into the world. Lucy joined in, her presence a solid support to his side. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Messages poured in, fans and strangers alike sharing their own stories of betrayal and thanking him for his courage. As the session ended, Jack felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He had turned his pain into his greatest performance. Whatever May and Danny did next didn't matter. Jack had reclaimed his voice, his art, and most importantly, his life. The storm had passed, and in its wake, a new dawn was breaking, bright and clear. Weeks after the live session that redefined his career, Jack found himself in a whirlwind of interviews, guest appearances, and an ever-growing fan base rallying behind his comeback. The album, Echoes of Betrayal, was a chart-topping hit, resonating with audiences far beyond his original rock realm. Yet, amidst the accolades, there was an unfinished chapter that nagged at him, the chapter involving May. One crisp afternoon, as autumn painted the city in shades of gold and amber, Jack received an unexpected call from Tom. "Jack, you need to see this," his voice urgent, slightly out of breath. "What's going on, Tom?" "It's May and Danny. There's something you don't know. Can you meet me at the old cafe on 5th? Intrigued and apprehensive, Jack agreed. The cafe was quiet, a soft jazz tune playing in the background as he spotted Tom waiting at a table by the window. As he sat down, Tom slid a magazine across the table. On the cover was a photo of May and Danny, their smiles forced in the glaring flash of paparazzi cameras. Tom pointed to the headline, "Firestorm's Danny and soloist May announce breakup amid cheating scandal." Jack raised an eyebrow, scanning the article. Danny had been caught in a compromising situation, much like the one he had orchestrated with May, only this time he was on the losing end. "Seems like history repeats itself," Jack muttered. Tom nodded. "There's more, Jack. I've been hearing rumors," and he hesitated, then continued. "May's been reaching out to old contacts. She wants to come back." To the band, Jack's voice was flat, his surprise carefully contained. "Not just the band, Jack. To you." Before Jack could process this revelation, his phone buzzed. It was a message from May herself. "Jack, can we talk? In person. I'm so sorry." Jack looked from the phone to Tom, a plan forming in his mind. "Set it up," he said finally, a spark of the old, mischievous Jack in his eyes. The meeting was arranged at the studio where it had all fallen apart. Jack arrived early, the familiar setting both comforting and eerie. When May walked in, she was alone, looking diminished, the bright spark he had fallen for now dim. "Jack, Save it," Jack cut her off, his voice calm but firm. "What do you want, May?" May took a deep breath, her eyes not meeting his. I made a mistake. With Danny, with everything. I was wrong, and I missed the music, the band, you. Jack listened, his expression unreadable. After a long pause, he spoke. You want to come back? I do. If there's any chance. Jack held up a hand to stop her. He walked over to the window, looking out at the city. After a moment, he turned back to her. May, what happened hurt. It nearly broke me. But it also brought me somewhere new, gave me something real to sing about. He paused, letting the silence stretch between them. I can't go back to how things were. But he took a deep breath. I believe in second chances. Not for us, May, but for the music. May's eyes widened, a mixture of relief and confusion crossing her face. You can come back to the band, Jack continued, under one condition. We keep it professional. Strictly about the music. Tears filled May's eyes as she nodded vigorously. Yes, yes, of course. Thank you, Jack. As she left the studio, Jack felt a sense of closure. He wasn't sure if inviting May back was the right decision, but he knew the band could benefit from her voice, and perhaps this was his way of truly moving on by facing the past head-on. Later that night, Jack stood on his balcony, looking out at the city lights. He realized that forgiveness wasn't just about the other person, it was a gift to oneself, a release from the weight of anger and regret. The final twist came a week later when a new song dropped online, anonymously. The lyrics spoke of betrayal, redemption, and the power of forgiveness. The voice was unmistakable Jack's, but there was a second voice, blending seamlessly with his. The track went viral overnight. The fans went wild with speculation, but Jack never confirmed nor denied May's involvement. Some secrets, he decided, were best kept between the notes of a song that spoke louder than words ever could.